freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
My name is S.M. Gibson, and this is Anti-Media Radio. It is Tuesday, April the 12th, 2016. Rise up. Rise up. That's what's going on in the world right now. There's an awakening happening. People are seeing the system for what it is, that it's rigged. We have Donald Trump, who is a buffoon, but he has the largest microphone in the world right now. And he's saying that the system is rigged. He's even bringing in Bernie Sanders and saying, look what's happening over here. This guy's getting the votes. It's not getting the delegates because the system's rigged. And it's been rigged for a long time. And we're finally seeing it. We see the protest in Washington, D.C. We see the protest in France right now. People are sick of it. People are waking up. This is your time. This is our time. Freedom. This is what we've been wanting. And it's open communication. And it's doing it through love. You know, I'm afraid that, you know, we've talked about on the show some that in Cleveland, we've kind of foreseen that there, you know, may or may not be violence there. Hopefully, please not. But, you know, I could still see it kicking off. But that's beside the point. This is, you know, a revolution of love and intellect and information. And not to be taken advantage of anymore, not to have any earthly masters. You know what's best for your life. Not some person in a suit sending your child off to fight in some war that they have no business being in. All for some greed and special interest. It's disgusting. All right, I want to go ahead and bring in our wonderful co-host for the evening, Mr. Kevin Knight. Kevin, how you doing, sir?
Hey, man, doing great. Good to be back with you two fine gentlemen, as always.
And our sound director. Overall...
Correction, one fine gentleman. And then there's this guy across the desk from me.
Oh, man.
Hey, man, I just called both of you that on the radio.
That was sweet. That was very sweet.
I like how you're pointing. Yeah, you're pointing on the radio. Well done. Shannon Madden.
I'm trying to go for record and get fired within the first 10 minutes of the show. I think that would be a new record.
You've done that, I think.
Yeah, you're
I'm
probably
sure.
right.
There's no way that hasn't happened.
I'm taking all the mics with me when I leave.
Okay.
Even though they don't all belong to me. Hey, you said okay. Y'all heard him.
So what? I don't need a microphone to stop me from telling everybody, just pull up the computer. It's old school it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how everybody does it now.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go really old school with it, and you can take it to the streets, just as the protesters in Washington, D.C. have. And that was quite a show, I
And
might add.
France as well.
Yeah.
120,000 in the streets of France. And the government's even backing down to them a little bit with some...
You mean the government is backing down?
Well, they've offered a little bit
from their employers.
Well, we'll see how far it goes. But
yeah, that's more to the point.
But we talk about the one here in the United States. Most people probably don't even realize it was one in the United States because I think it was a total of 30 seconds or something was covered on corporate media.
And that was probably 400 protesters that were arrested and hauled off by the police, I'm sure.
Right. Now, for those who are away,
a violent protest breaks out in Washington.
For those who are kind of paying attention to what's going on social media, they would have seen that the protests were trending all day. Excuse me.
You all right over there? Do I need to do the Heimlich?
Yeah, go for it. I got something stuck in my throat.
Well, they're basically, this is Democracy Spring, which is the organizers' name for the event. And they kind of describe themselves as a movement to take back our democracy and employing mass nonviolent action. Sounds like, you're just your average nonviolent protester, somebody that's got something to say and taking it to the streets. Last time I checked, that was probably one of the most American things you can do. Well, and that's kind of where the problem starts, though, is that there were 400 people arrested at a nonviolent sit-in Washington, D.C. And you want to switch over to Fox right now and see if that's on?
No, at 100%. It was not on there. It was actually mentioned for 12 seconds on MSNBC, and Fox gave it the most coverage at about 17 seconds.
Well, okay, then I take that back. Sorry, folks at Fox News. I'm sure that Hannity's sitting at his computer writing it out an angry email right now.
What's even worse, though, is their massive coverage that they gave to it. They said it was a voting rights issues. It was what the people were protesting. So they didn't get what they were protesting was about. It was hashtag Democracy Spring.
It was just a protest, though. I mean, they were protesting the way things should be, and everybody just needs to leave Washington alone and let Washington do Washington's business.
Well, it is. It's to put the power back in the hands of the people, is what we talk about on this show every Tuesday and Thursday. It's to get the power away from the 6 corporations that control 90% of the media. We fall into 10% of that category and have far, far less money than anywhere near any of that.
Far less.
Yeah, almost zero.
Yeah.
Negative in some
instances.
Negative. No, none of that. But we need to get the power away from this central control, whether it's the corporations, whether it's Bernie talking about, it's the banks. Yeah, it is the banks, but it's a bigger problem than just the banks. Or it's Trump saying, it's, these politicians. Well, he's right. It is the politicians. It also happens to be Bernie's ideas, and it also happens to be everything that Donald Trump says, too. None of that sounds like freedom to me. Bernie's is at the barrel of a gun at the end of the day, even though he won't say it. Why would he ever? That's what it is. Tax, tax, tax. Free, free, free.
Free.
Taxes, theft.
Taxation is theft. Thievery. Straight up thievery.
Listen, we'll give it to you for free, but if you don't pay for it, you ain't going to be free for long, let me tell you.
Right, look, you own that property, but try not paying your property tax, buddy. We'll take that land.
So, Bernie, Trump, banks, corporations, Washington as a whole.
Big
Don't
government.
forget Hillary now. Come on now.
But here's the thing. You know, I think it sounds like it's this huge, big. What it is it's. I don't think anybody would argue this. It's central around finance. The people with the money have the power, and the people that have money want more money.
And if they don't have the power, they can just simply go out and buy some.
That's it.
And this course being nothing new. I mean, from the ages since probably the event of
That would have been
money.
a great segue for Hillary Clinton right there. Right there.
What is
Bought and paid for.
What isn't a great segue for that lady?
I want to hear some of her motivational speeches.
That Illinois jewel she
Those,
is.
quarter $1 million motivational speeches she gives. I mean, that's a hell of a talk right there, man.
Oh, I bet they're great.
They're great.
Kanye West don't make that much money for a concert. No, wait a minute, yeah, he does.
Yeah, well.
But not everybody's Kanye.
Except Hillary probably ain't the richest person in the room when she's giving a speech. He is.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
But do you think Taylor Swift would take that kind of action?
Oh
from
my
Hillary
gosh,
Clinton?
it's over. I'm done.
Can I be fired now?
You're trying my patience. So, Kevin, tell me what do you think that we're going to start seeing this around the rest of the world? Were you going to start seeing this around the rest of the country? People filling the streets, people demanding change. We're waking up with seeing the elections. We're sitting here talking about the system being rigged. We're seeing everything right now implode on itself.
We really are. Well, you ask, are we going to continue to see this? This is a lot of people don't realize this is not just a new group that's been out there. This is actually kind of a rebranding of Occupy Wall Street. So a lot of these guys and ladies that are out there, if you notice, one thing I noticed when I saw the signs of the protesters were that many of them look really uniformed. I saw a lot of signs saying taxation is theft, but I saw a lot of the democracy spring, which when I saw the same signs popping up, I immediately made me wonder who exactly was behind the organization. So doing a little bit of research, I found the organization and a list of other organizations, several socialist groups, various. We have a number of socialist groups in the U.S. that they were actually on the email list of sponsors or attendees, with apparently some other organizations too. So, anyways, that being said, I don't think it's anything new for a lot of these people. I think this is probably a lot of the groups, if this is in fact Occupy Wall Street, a lot of these people have probably been at this for a while, so I think this is probably a continuation on their part. I'm a little surprised that we didn't hear about it prior to. I know part of it was it was going to be a sit-in, so it didn't sound like this was very advertised to a lot of the outside folks, but it needs to happen. I would think so. Every country is going through this.
And I know too, there was a lot of people. I know a lot of people that a lot of the listeners were involved with the Occupy movement, and a lot of them, just got kind of burned out on, kind of nothing happened, and where do we go next? And I think this is at least, organized or not, it's a good avenue to give people an outlet, but at the same time, you don't want to be manipulated just by another interest group. It's of course, you just can't go through life feeling like, I can't be manipulated by this, that, and the other. Just make sure you know the people's intentions about what you're getting into, and do your research with everything. But at the same time, get out there, protest, let your voice be heard.
Yeah,
that's what it's about. Your voice
of activism.
That's it.
And take the long view. I think that needs to be stressed. You mentioned that a lot of people came out with Occupy Wall Street, and they got burned out. They didn't really see.
And
a lot
let me
of
tell you
things
something.
going.
I think a lot of that too. There is some of it that's organized, and then there's some of it that there's people going out that just want their voice to be heard. I think you get both sides of it. I think you get the bright part, they're pulling this, and you get people that are like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to let everybody know what's on my mind because I'm tired of this. I'm sick of this. Who isn't sick of this at this point? It's spilling out everywhere. It's spilling out into our presidential elections.
But you brought up Occupy Wall Street, though, and Occupy Wall Street begat this. I don't know the total arrest records for Occupy Wall Street. I know it was it was a rather public event. There was a lot of cameras and things like that. But now we see fewer cameras and more arrests.
Surprise!
In this age of information, with all of this technology, and anytime that you have a huge gathering of people in Washington D.C., usually there's going to be some news crews around filming every single moment.
Yeah, that's why.
Regardless of whether it's a peaceful protest or a violent protest or whatever the case may be. That's just how it works out, But hey, we are bringing in a very special guest commentator for the evening. A fellow that I've gotten to know over a short period of time now with his outfit, the Seeds of Liberty, which we've had Dave Painter on sometime
We did.
ago.
We had Dave. We had him in studio.
We most certainly did. So we're just making the rounds and passing them all out like whores. Jeremy, how you doing?
Hey, Shannon, I'm all right, man. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh man, it's
good.
so great to hear you, man. We've been trying to get Jeremy on for a minute. I absolutely love what you guys are doing over at Seeds of Liberty, getting the message out.
Oh, thank you. We do try. It's a lot to deal with Dave, but I think I manage well enough.
A job in and of itself.
Yeah, no,
We love Dave.
I love the guy. I poke fun at him as much as I possibly can, just because, well, that's what I do when I love somebody. But without Dave, I wouldn't be where I am right now today. He actually jump started a lot of stuff I'm doing these days. So I got to give the boy credit where it's due.
Hey, Dave's really good at putting the liberty-minded folks together.
Dave's awesome. I don't think Dave sleeps whatsoever.
I don't think he does at all. You should hang out with him for 5 minutes. He is constantly, always, he has all of these little internet things that he's using to spread the message.
Oh, I know.
liberty.
He's actually, I met Dave. Where did I meet him at Alex Adam Kokesh event in Birmingham, and that's the first time I got to know Dave. And since I've met him, I don't think I've met another person who takes this as serious. I won't say as serious, but who really does this as much to the frequency that Dave does.
Sleeps, eats, and
I mean, he
breathes,
really
yeah.
does. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. You roll over and see what time it is, and I'll see Dave Painter just posted in Seeds of Liberty. I'm like, wow, the guy never sleeps. He's definitely on fire for this stuff, man. Which is
So for all of our listeners, definitely check out Seeds of Liberty and all of the many. They're not hard to find at all. You guys have
we're all over the place.
all sorts of different ways to interact with Seeds of Liberty. It's a lot of good people, a lot of good ideas.
and don't bring your A game, man. If you've got an ego, leave that joker at the door.
Oh God, yeah!
because,
Don't debate Andrew for.
That's why I can't get in there. I'm just.
oh man, it's great fun. You can just sit back and watch.
Get in
and,
there, rip it up, baby.
I'll be gone.
Keeps it real.
It'll be on purpose too. I got in one of those Bernie meme groups that lasted about 5 seconds.
Bernie's dank memes.
Oh no, you did do well in that one. That's the one that you posted the memes and they.
Well, that's a satire page, I thought.
Oh no, not the one I was in.
Oh well, no. There's a couple of them that are disguised really well. I know some of the guys that run them, and the Bernie supporters have no idea, which is the beautiful thing.
There you go. That's what they didn't seem to know this either. When Gibson, you should. Well, I'll let you tell that instead.
Oh no.
Y'all telling secrets over here?
No, what it is, he's just it wasn't that impressive.
He made some great memes and he posted them in the Bernie group.
Some dank memes.
Some dank.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the dank.
Some dank ones.
Comrades would have been comrade dankish. I mean, these were Stalin
Dankish.
and Mao. I forget who exactly it was, but put it this way, he did a great job.
Yeah, there were some pictures. I put them on the internet. Some people hit the like button a few times, and then I got booted.
Like thousands
and banned,
before he got booted.
and then I was no longer in the group in the story.
Yeah, that tends to happen.
Once
Once they figure out who you are.
Yeah, nothing exciting.
Well, it took him a long time to realize that it was a.
I'm in the middle of serving I'm in like day 4 of serving a 30-day ban on
Facebook
Facebook.
jail. You're in Facebook jail.
And you do
You were
so
bad.
little. You do so little. It seems like you very.
That's
you really
the
do.
thing. I have like a little over 100 friends on Facebook.
Right, you're not.
Like
you're
I keep
the
it.
least person I see
yeah.
posting.
Lockdown, yeah.
keep it minimum. And nope.
Yeah, but it's those groups that get you in trouble. Because I don't even know how many friends I have at this point. I don't know hardly any of them. People just send me requests all the time. I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever. But it's those groups that end up getting you in trouble because there's usually lurkers in there, people who have nothing better to do than sit there and wait for somebody to post something, even the slightest bit of like quasi offensive, and they jump on it. I kind of equate them to the little old ladies that I have to deal with on a daily basis that just sit by their front window and just watch the street and wait for somebody to come anywhere near their lawn, even if they're not on their lawn, just so they can yell at them. So
that almost got an Indian grandfather killed here in Alabama not too long ago.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Isn't that what the internet is, though? It's just
essentially.
All of our private
waiting
lives.
to condemn someone else for believing oppositely.
I don't do that unless it's music. I'm real fussy about music.
Yeah, I am like that with music.
If you're going to come at me with some Kenny Rogers, then you better come with respect. Cause,
Hey, buddy, The Gambler was a good song.
You damn right it was. It was Kenny Rogers. You ever had that man's chicken?
Man, I miss that chicken.
God, that chicken was awesome. I could go for some right now.
It was pretty good, I must say.
They're
pretty good.
They've got them overseas.
You talk with respect.
Like in Asia or somewhere, they've got them. I want to go.
Man, I shouldn't tell you I've never had Kenny Rogers.
That's it.
And I have been out of the state, believe it or not, and out of the country.
They don't have them anymore. They're gone. That's the thing of the past.
That's the reason.
That's like Blockbuster.
And
Betamax.
And Hot Now. 39-cent burgers, fries, and drinks. You guys probably don't remember that one, do you? Didn't last long.
No, I remember Hot Now. That was nasty.
Anyways, now that we've covered the gamut on cheap food and
horrible
memes,
retired chicken restaurants.
Y'all always end up steering the conversation.
Y'all.
Down to, yeah.
When Mr. Gibson lived in Seattle, he took me to a place that at 2 o'clock in the morning where the girls serve coffee in a bikini.
Yeah,
it was like Starbucks in the bikini. That was so jank, man.
Seattle's cool.
It was like on the edge of town.
That was.
Yeah, the girl was hot. The girl was hot. Yeah, she was sort of hot. She had this
anyway, I'm going to talk about something completely different, and I'm just going to fire you for no reason. It's not. It hasn't happened yet. I tell you what,
you guys, I'm going home.
I want to bring up the situation with the Panama Papers. And,
absolutely.
We have a whistleblower.
Claims,
right? Thinks the CIA leaked it, or someone. He's a former Swiss banker, saying that he says, "I'm sure the CIA is behind it, but it is my opinion."
Fresh out of jail.
Yeah,
he's done a lot of time. Not that would influence his opinion, but anyways.
But he was awarded $104 million of a $780 settlement over a whistleblower policy. He was released in 2012. Yeah.
Heck, I'd be willing to do a couple of years in the pen for that kind of money.
Oh, really?
Oh, man.
Write a book when you come out?
I'll be somebody's bitch. I'm serious.
I don't know.
Man, for that kind of cash.
See, that's the thing. We all come up with these analogies and think about what we would or we wouldn't do, but for some reason, that part of the scenario never popped into my head.
For $104 million, I will be your bitch. Okay, just saying.
He says at the point of it.
Well, Shannon has now set his price, so everybody, we know that now.
No,
I'll go for a lot cheaper than that. Trust me.
Here's the thing that it makes sense and it doesn't make sense, because he says, of course, the motive behind it, it's going after Russia, China, Pakistan, Argentina, going after all these countries who are quote unquote enemies of the United States. So I get that. There's no really Americans implicated in any of this. It's kind of standoffish from that. But so David Cameron, just collateral damage. Like, that's not just collateral damage. That's a big...
Yeah, that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not talking collateral damage. We're talking... That's big fish. Like, I see George Osborne maybe, but Cameron...
Well, one thing that we noted on air about the first dump was the fact that there weren't a whole lot of Americans in there, especially for one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
I really don't think we're going to see anything.
There's a couple of them, but there's just very.
There's no telling what's
Yeah,
in
they're
it,
like
but we'll
some
never see it.
retiree from down in somewhere.
Yeah, they probably have
Louisiana,
been caught up, just caught up in a bigger part of the dealings, probably with somebody else of some kind of a little more notoriety. But we also noted that, and James Corbett covered this as well, pointed out that most of these individual organizations and so forth are at one time have either been in the Ames or the crosshairs of the State Department or are not on generally good terms. And, that's one thing that the guy in this particular interview brought up. This is the same thing, that all these countries or these people that were listed in the Panama Papers are all really not friendly, don't have really necessarily a good working relationship with the State Department and the U.S. So it's no surprise there, which is one of these reasons this guy believes that the Panama Papers were apparently a CIA or at least a U.S. linked intelligence apparatus.
And I honestly believe that's why we don't see that many Americans that we know. We know full and well that a lot of them.
Well,
surely.
With the
People
amount
that
of
we bring up weekly
information
on
in
this show.
the entire leak, there's no telling what's in there over here.
Well, they've had a year of this to go through it, to my understanding, and they've listed, of course, the organization that has chosen to dump all this. They received it. The organization's decided.
I'm talking about what they have in general.
What they
not
have
just
in-
yeah.
Well, I'd wonder what their motive is for, if there is stuff on the U.S. in the Western countries or the U.S. countries. Why exactly is the motive for this particular organization to keep this information from the public if they're releasing all the other information?
Money. It's got to be, yeah.
It's it's a genuine. I
You
definitely
mean
would.
people would do unethical things for money?
Well, no, well, of course, but so that's the thing to me. I don't. Could it be the CIA? Sure, they've had their hand caught in the cookie jar way too many times since in their 60, 70, 80 years of existence, whatever it's been now. But they would. To me, I don't think it necessarily matters if it's them or not. It's got to be somebody with U.S. interests, because that's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, like you guys said, there's no major players from the U.S. on that list at all. That makes no sense whatsoever, because
the country as America is. Come on, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
amongst the sponsors that were listed were, of course, the Forbes Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the George Soros's Open Society Network. Who else was on there? A couple of the organizations that you generally think that are usually, you hear the names associated with other kind of, I won't say globalist type, activist type organizations and movements. Some of the color revolutions, I know we saw a lot of George Soros's Open Society involved in, with the CIA, of course, Ukraine being, for instance. So it wouldn't surprise me. What would surprise me about the money issue, at least, I'm not saying one bit that it's not also improbable, but there's several hundred journalists that came together to put all this information. It just, what it's not that it's not possible to keep a secret, but journalists by nature, surely I would imagine they have that bug in them to not stay silent or to report about something. This, can you imagine? There's got to be a backstory for a journalist behind even this story about the Panama Papers were leaked. That's one story, but there's got to be a backstory. There's got to be more juicier about how exactly they were leaked and why they were leaked, and that's what I want to see come out.
Yeah, because if the CIA didn't do it, then who did? And what gain or what motive would they have to do so?
It'll be known by somebody, and that's what I say. It seems to be such a large amount of information. There's got to be some other people that know exactly who did this and where it came from. I'm starting to think it's probably just a little bit too fresh before we actually hear what else there is. This is probably tip of the iceberg.
I think you're right.
And it's too controlled.
Away.
Well, it is. You're right. It goes on what they're going to expose and what we can have access to.
Well, yeah. I mean, what is it? The consortium or whatever it is, the ICIJI something or whatever. They said they're going to release more, but they're not going to release everything, and they're going to do it on their own pace. Which, I guess they're entitled to. But to me, it's kind of the same thing as as like the Guardian with the Snowden leaks. They let things out more for their benefit than anybody else's. So who the heck knows what's actually still in the Snowden stuff is still going to be in this after they keep releasing stuff, unless somebody else gets their hands on it. I don't think any of us are ever going to know.
Well, there was definitely more of a panic, it felt like, with the Snowden releases.
What do you mean?
He was too one of the bigger, one of the first. I think
the urgency. I think.
Well, I think his case kind of brought whistleblowing to the forefront too for a lot of people. Considering what we were discussing, the NSA is and all the other spying that was going on, I'm not surprised that it became such a big topic as fast as it did. Although he was of course not the first one to release a lot of that information. William Binney had done the same thing. He'd been at the NSA for quite a while, but not to this scale. And of course, he didn't do so in the manner in which he did.
Oh no, yeah, but I'm not talking about the uprising from the people in general, or at least the recognition, but just the fact that the Guardian's still releasing information from that every 3 to 6 months. But again, they're doing it at their pace for their profit. It's not I lost interest in that because to me it doesn't seem to be as genuine as you would have hoped at the beginning, and that's my worry with this type of situation where you have this group of journalists who are supposed to be relatively independent, but I mean, how realistic is that? When you look at the U.S., just the U.S. alone, and you have 90% of the media is controlled by 6 companies. Something like that. Is that the number that always gets floated around?
Oh, yes, most of them are CFR members too. Is what?
Yeah. Well, but again, you even take that aspect out of it. Like out of this group, I mean, how many are in this? 200, something like that, or more?
Yeah. Let's think it's all 400. But still, you're right. They're all working for a central authority, or in a central frame.
Yeah. So they'll release stuff, but. Just like the Guardian, although probably for different reasons, they'll release what they think everybody else should know, not just release things for the public at large to make their own determinations. Because gosh, they couldn't let us do that. But they'll release it, and then they'll just they can claim, oh, we've given you pretty much everything, and who's to say that they're actually wrong? So it's, I don't know. I think stuff like this, I mean, I hope it catches some people's attention, but for the most part, I see a story like this, and I'm afraid that more people than not will just look at it and go, we kind of already knew that, and move on with their day.
Click right on by, yeah.
Well, it's funny you said you lost interest, because I'll be honest with you, I usually keep my mind or my ear on a lot of things going on, such as this. I've not heard anything about the continued leaks, and you think if
that's what I
more,
meant, about the urgency when Snowden came out.
Well, you'd expect to see this on other alternative
and how
media.
Controlled this is. That's what I'm. I think when they knew this was coming, it seems like
they've been.
It seems like I feel like a lot of the people that were affected knew it was coming down. Right, was coming down the pipeline, whereas. When Snowden came out, there was a lot of running around, like, what's coming next? What does this guy have? What are we going to do?
A genuine concern about
but here it's just kind of like, okay, here's the problem, and now there's a bunch of reaction, and people in the United States are just kind of looking like, well, okay, there's some stuff going on. We're not involved.
Yeah, well, most people probably not surprised either that this would be happening. I mean, this is what billionaires and millionaires do. I mean, I would probably do the same as well. Who wouldn't?
As it flirts and floats all the way around Putin, and same with David Cameron. We're talking, the top world leaders here, and the United States.
And see,
Tina Turner.
The politicians work for us.
Jackie Chan.
We vote them in. I mean, they work for us, right? I mean, they are paid for from our money, right?
That's a great theory, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful dream.
It's a nice bedtime story.
It's like Marxism on the in school. It's a great theory on paper. It just
that's what they fucking teach kids in school, man.
Oh, I know. I still remember some of it. It's been a while, but
and none of it's true.
One thing that I'm not seeing brought up, and I'm really not surprised that I'm not seeing it more. But some of the other particular organizations I follow have brought it up, and that's the idea that this is all destined to build basically the structure for a global taxation movement. You know, the UN and the International Monetary Fund have all been pushing for a global tax.
Do
Basically,
you
global
really
income
think
tax.
that's what it's going to be, though?
Do I think? No, but that didn't mean that this was another part of. You know, they've been pushing this for a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of people
that's
that are,
been rumored forever.
Oh right. Well, it's not just. It's been based on the own words and the own constant push from the UN, which the U.S. of course pays the majority of the bill for. Jeremy, you started to say something, I think.
Oh no, I was going to kind of agree with you. It seems like this very well could be just another piece in that puzzle, because I mean I firmly believe that a lot of this stuff that happens on even a regular basis and not as a big scale as this that most people look out and just go, oh ho hum, this is, it's government up to its old stuff again or whatever. They just kind of that's how they've been operating for decades. They just throw as much crap at the wall as they can at once to see what sticks, and they push the limits as far as they can. So like you're saying, they've been at this for. I remember first hearing about that at least a decade ago.
Oh, it's been going on, no, since the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't paying attention back then, though. But I'm saying, like, so I remember, so it's been going on. So something like this very well could be. It's just okay. Let's throw this out there, and like we've said, it definitely seems like it's a very controlled leak. So yeah, let's just float this out there and see who gets negatively affected by it, and see what else can get pushed, and because if the people that will get upset by this will be the typical Bernie supporters, I guess, and people like that who are trained to hate the 1%, even though they don't understand what that actually means. Because in a worldwide scale, I'm part of the 1%.
Yeah, we all are, definitely.
Yeah, what I think 32 grand is the 1% worldwide. So yeah, I'm definitely I'm in 1%. But they're trained and indoctrinated to hate the 1%. So this is just another thing. They're the ones who'll get riled up about this and say, "Oh, look, see, now we have more proof." And they'll swallow up a global tax thing like nothing. They'll be like, "Oh, great, yeah," because they just think it'll affect the bad rich people, and not them.
How do all these people get on board with all these taxes? Like, it makes no sense to me. Yeah, whatever, sure, pay taxes.
They're probably generally, most of them are for altruistic purposes. I think it's probably just ignorance.
Definitely ignorance. Well, I mean, listen, if you ever, I mean, I try not to anymore, but if you listen to the way the politicians, the leftist politicians speak, how they present it, it's presented as these big bad people are stepping all over you, and they're the reason that your life is so miserable. It's the big corporations.
So
big
let's
corporations.
take more of your money.
Well, but again, they make it seem like it's going to affect them more, because the way the progressive tax scale is supposed to work, it's supposed to affect the people who make more money even more. But that doesn't happen in practice, because they also get they get tax breaks, and then they also get most of the big ones are in bed with the government on some level anyway, so they get it back on the back end, and whatever taxes they do get charged, they just roll it over to their customers anyway.
Yeah, I believe the airlines call that frequent flyer miles. You spend a lot of money at a place, usually you get perks and discounts and things. But go on.
Well, it's even simpler than that. Is that people that are poor have less disposable income than rich people, than wealthy people. That's it. They have less ability they have less money to spend after taxes, but they have more money to spend on taxes, and can much easier navigate all the channels that come with making money, having to pay taxes, and so forth.
Having an accountant and a money manager and all of that.
Yep.
Right. Wealthy people don't get wealthy by just money falling in their lap. Very rarely.
Yeah.
But back to the global taxation thing, I thought it was one thing was interesting that we can tell is going to be going away, or that definitely a global taxation system would need. It would be the synchronizing of all the world's banking system on a level different than not just what the IMF's talking about, but all these other banks around the world would have to have the ability, and that's one of the things being pushed, is the ability to somehow be whether or not it takes a new system to be created for this to happen, but for all these banks to basically be put together in a system where all this information could be stored. And so now your private information that you thought or under the impression that only the U.S. banks at minimum would have access to, now you're going to look at a worldwide potential banking system. If that doesn't scream...
And you know how many thieves will align themselves in a situation like that and try to skim whatever they can off the top and the middle and the bottom. And on every electronic transaction, come on.
Oh, right. As much debt as you as Americans hold, which country, U.S. is probably not exactly the low man on the totem pole when it comes to getting hit or being a target for hackers. Yeah, I would totally think that the U.S. is going to be, along with everybody else too, but they're definitely going to be a target for malicious activity. But there we go. More government.
I tell you what, I want to go ahead and bring on a guest. We had a story a while back written by Miss Claire Burnish about our next guest. The title of the story was "Watching Active Duty Soldier Perfectly Explain Military Suicides." It's all about the money. Dylan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How you doing?
Can't complain. And you actually know Shannon, right?
Yeah, we've actually interacted on one of the speaking of Seeds of Liberty in one of their chats from time to time, and we've become Facebook buddies. Dylan lives in another state. I've never met Dylan face to face before. We've just interacted online, and I've liked a lot of things he's had to say. And he actually just posted to his personal Facebook page this wonderful video that has now picked up a little bit of steam. We'll talk about that here in a moment, and I'm not going to rob Dylan's thunder because I want him to talk about it. But I know Dylan is a very, very smart and aware young fella who also is currently serving in the United States military as we speak. So, Dylan, take it away, my friend.
Well, when I did the video, I was on the way home from the brief, and I never imagined it would pick up as much steam as it did, like Shannon said. I honestly never thought it'd get out of, the Seeds of Liberty. And the next thing you know, you guys picked it up, and then I walked into work the other day, and they all started checking out World Star. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they showed me, and it had over 200,000 on World Star.
World Star.
Which is not the audience I think that picked that up. I made it a point not to read through those comments, though.
Oh, yeah. Don't stay out of the comments, man.
World Star is not exactly the place I was hoping that would go, but hey, I'll take what I can get.
And Ron Paul even came out and mentioned it, didn't he?
Oh, man.
Yeah, he did. Well, they, I guess they watched.
What?
They were going
You sound so sheepish about that.
I like Ron Paul. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I
like Ron Paul. I was one of the Ron Paul guys.
Genuine disappointment.
It is. We might have to get it. Maybe that's another story for another day.
Dylan is not plussed.
There was some history there.
It didn't want to be a buzzkill, man. Oh, sorry, man. Go ahead. Feel free to pick up.
Yeah, but I did the video, and I just never expected it to pick up steam like that. I probably would have done it a little bit differently. Maybe take out some of the cussing, because that's the reason a lot of people haven't aired it. But at the same time, I don't know that it would have picked up that much steam without that.
Fuck him. That's all I got to say about that. But Dylan, because I'd like for you to go ahead and explain the video or the contents of the video to people who have not seen it yet.
Well, in the video, I go on to rant about the VA and the government being in bed with Big Pharma, and that's the reason we get the particular medications we do. I think some people missed the point there, though. It was. I'm not saying that all suicides were because of these medications. I'm saying it's an underlying factor that the VA is in bed with Big Pharma, and that's why they're giving us these particular pills. That, like the anti, when you come back with sleep apnea or something like that, some of those pills have suicide as side effects. And there's a study that just came out in 2015, I believe, that said that there's no correlation with combat and suicide, doubling suicide rates since 2004. which I thought was just ridiculous because we've doubled in suicide since we invaded Iraq. How can you say there's no correlation between the two? I think a lot of it has to do with these veterans are coming home, they're dumped off to the VA, and they're just getting these pills. And these classes don't address any of that. They will lightly mention the prescription drugs, but that's about it. Then they'll talk about, oh, well, it's alcohol, it's this, and it's that. They don't like to talk about the fact that they're the ones that are part of this problem. Now, of course, a lot of suicides have other reasons. There's some reasons are the same reasons you kill yourself in this thing. Well, somebody tried to tell me a lot of it has to do with wives losing their husbands. Like, all right, well, why are the wives losing their husbands? Because most of the time it's because they're overseas for an extended period of time. So it's still an underlying factor, is these undeclared unwinnable wars, such as I mentioned in the video.
Undeclared unwinnable wars that we, hard-working Americans, are paying for. It's where your money goes.
Okay, so the video has made its rounds, and I think most everybody has seen it. Now, what was happening before you go and you hit play? You're driving, like, what's going through your head, and you just snap and goes, "Here we go."
Well, I kind of ran it through my head during the brief. I was like, I told my buddy, I'm like, I'm about to go rant about this on Facebook. Right before the video, I was in it was part of our pre-deployment classes, and I was in a suicide brief, and they show you the same video I have seen for 3 years in a row now. I've been in 6 years. The first 3 years I came in, it was a different one, and that's all it ever is the same old video that doesn't address the real issues. And it's a bunch of people talking about, oh, this person killed themselves, I almost killed myself. But it doesn't even tell you how to prevent it. It tells you to go get help. Well, the help you go get is the VA, or if you're active, it's the same pills in the VA as it is in active duty. But yeah, right before the video, I was actually just driving home to lunch from suicide brief. I made sure to get off, take my top off though, because if you do that in uniform, you could get some backlash from that. People have done that in the past. I'm not that stupid.
Hold on, wait a second. I think I missed that. Can you repeat that? What exactly you said that?
About his uniform. If he actually took his top of his uniform off before he recorded the video.
Gotcha. Okay. So, well, I was wondering about that. My wife and I were discussing as we watched the video. Have you had any negative? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I would like to hear at some point if you've had any kind of negative pushback at all from anybody in the military or outside.
World Star.
Other than the obvious, right?
Yeah, I've had a few on the like the anti-media posts. I did have a few Facebook comments that pushed back. I've had a lot of my military friends have shared it and actually agree with it, and I have some of their friends push back and say, "Well, you lost me at the part where you said unwinnable. It would be winnable if we they want to lift all the ROE, so we can just go and kill everyone. So we can kill more civilians because that'll help us end the war." So
they want.
I've got to push back there.
They were more concerned with one particular aspect that's really not even whole. That's.
We were talking about this very same thing right before we got on there. We were talking about this very same thing about having those discussions with people. But I support this and I support this and I support this, but you don't support this one little tiny little itty bitty piece of what the total sum of what I believe in. So screw you. I can't have
everything else is wrong. Right.
Yeah, it's retarded.
But Ed, so all in all, have you found most of your peers, military-wise, to have been pretty receptive of it?
Yes. Most of them have agreed with it. At least they'll say they agree with 95%, which of course the 5%, the unwinnable part, and the part where I said, "Do you think you're serving your country good for you?" That's the most pushback because they can't let go of that false sense of patriotism they all have.
Well, man, still, like you said, I think the 95 is better than you took the 95 over the 5 any day. That's why I think it's important that we hear that on subjects like this, it's so important to hear people that are in the service that have either are in or have been in. It just brings a whole another depth of realism that as a civilian that we can only possibly try to.
From my experience, though, the people that are most awake are people that are in the military for the most part.
Right.
Those are the people that are actually on the front lines of seeing what's happening. And from my experience of all the people I've met go, why are we over there?
And nobody has a clear answer. No, everybody's, well, because of terror,
Right.
ISIS.
I've heard it over
Saddam
and over
Hussein,
and over.
Saddam's an evil man.
From
Well, why-
veterans and
okay, so
people
why
that
is
have come
Saddam
back.
Hussein an evil man, or why is Assad an evil man, or why was Gaddafi an evil man? Let's stop and talk about that. Well, he killed all those people. Okay, what else did he do? Well, we're over there killing 3 times, 5 times, 20 times more people. Well,
What did we do? We
terror
killed
and ISIS. And it's broken down in just little itty bitty little news sound bites. That's it. They base their whole reasoning on trying to wipe out a civilization on a sound bite that they heard on Fox.
They don't hear that, though.
But O'Reilly says, Rachel Maddow told me this morning.
They hear ISIS is doing it.
Yeah.
What happened to the other group, the Kandahar? Not Kandahar. What was the other name of the group? The Kassan group that came out. Do you remember that group popped out for like a day when we first started dropping bombs supposedly on ISIS? When they first went boots supposedly on the ground. I had to pull it up. I know the anti-media covered it once before, but hey, Dylan, if you don't mind me asking, just out of curiosity, has your family, have they heard the video? What did they have any thoughts about it? I would imagine they probably give you full support.
Yeah, I've had full support from my family. I haven't had any pushback from any closer friends or family or anything like that.
Do you have
least,
any military members of the military in your family, Dylan?
Active duty? No. I do have a number of veterans.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Yeah, veterans war.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't. Come to think of it, I haven't heard from any of my veteran family.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
it hasn't been that long. I mean, you only put this. I remember when you put it out. It was only a week or a week and a half ago at most, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I'm still getting like new people messaging me who are just now seeing it. So
Yeah. So
Have you thought about just playing it for them and asking them what they thought, or do you think that might be a touchy subject?
I don't actually talk to them. As far as the family that talk to me is just more my mother and my grandmother, but I don't really talk to most of my family. The veterans in my family are my dad. I don't talk to him regularly. My grandpa, I'm sure he'd probably agree. And the grandpa on my other side is deceased, and I have a cousin who, for the reason I joined the military, travel the world, serve the country. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard from him at all. But he's not very active on Facebook, so he probably hasn't even seen it. So maybe I'll think about sending it to him, see what he says.
Fair enough.
hey, Dylan, last week we got into a little discussion about some of the guys that are in the military, in the intelligence field, that were now being reprimanded. I believe they've actually been booted or being court-martialed. And over the case of apparently in between the field reports of what's going on with fighting ISIS and what's being told to the public is being changed somewhere along the lines. You mentioned the comment about unwinnable war. At this point, does it seem generally like, from your perspective, and I know you probably, obviously you can't see everything that's going on, but between what you feel and is it a general consensus about whether or not the U.S. is winning the war against so-called ISIS right now? Are you familiar what I'm talking about, what subject we're talking about the reports being changed?
Yes, intel guys, yes. Yeah, they pay a lot more attention to them because they actually have clearances and stuff. I'm just, a regular infantry guy, so I don't care what I have to say. I would say the general consensus in the military, and I can't really speak for the whole military, but what I know is that it's still to lift the ROE case. They think that if we just lift the ROE and go kill everyone, it'll change anything. They think ISIS is going to somehow come here. But at the same time, they know, a lot of them know, like, the original reasons were bullshit. They know Iraq was bullshit, and they know we shouldn't still be in Afghanistan. So it just doesn't transfer over to ISIS. They don't see the same problem they don't see the same problem reoccurring that's been reoccurring for a very long time now.
Now, what is your perspective, especially being current military, about what's... it looks like, we're about to go back into Iraq again, full-blown. It seems like every week we're hearing there's more troops going in, there's more troops going in. we had Defense Secretary Ash Carter came out and said that we're accelerating the war as fast as we can. What are your thoughts, being in military, about that?
I think it's going to kill a lot of our friends killed. That's the part I worry about, and some people don't realize this. They think I don't care about the soldiers over there. Like, I think I care a lot more than some of the patriots do, because I think the reason that they're dying over there is for nothing. I'm a little concerned right now. I can't really talk about like who's deploying and what, but most that's released publicly within like 2 or 3 months of deployment anyway. But I do know a good deal of people that are going to be over there here in the next year, and I don't know that ISIS is going to pop off when they're there. I think they're going to end up just sitting there, But if it does pop off, it really worries me, because they're over there fighting people who we literally gave the weapons and money to. Like, that's not even a secret by now. Like,
and training, yeah, pretty much gave them the whole blueprint for how we're going to come in and how we're going to take charge.
I was laughed at in 2014 for saying that the CIA was involved with ISIS and that the government had trained ISIS. This is right when they were just starting to become popular, and now everyone's agreeing with it. But they're still not seeing this recurring problem.
Now, from your perspective, do you think if it does kick back off over there, that it will bleed over into other nations more than it did the first time around? Because now we've definitely got Syria in play, more so than we did before with the first Iraq War, or I guess second Iraq War, but whatever.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think it's going to bleed over a lot more than it did. I remember when we went into Afghanistan. When I was there, I was right on the border of Pakistan, and everyone wanted to go fight Pakistan. So I go to Taliban and Al-Qaeda in Pakistan. What? Because we went to Afghanistan. So what they do, they ran over for Pakistan. It's going to bleed out into a couple of countries. You could even see World War III upcoming. That's what I foresee. I foresee World War III upcoming. I don't remember how many more countries have to get in. There's a small number of countries that have to get in for it to be considered another World War, but I could definitely see it bleeding over a lot more than it originally did.
Now, what are your thoughts about Putin supposedly scaling back troops in Syria? Do you think that?
Scaling back troops?
Yeah.
I think he's worried about the U.S. going in there. I don't think Russia ever wants a direct war, nor does the U.S. with the Russia or U.S. We always fight proxy wars with each other, Vietnam, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he's scaling back. Maybe he knows what's going on. I feel like Putin's an outsider, though. I don't know. Some people think he's just part of it, but I think he's an outsider. But he probably knows what's going to happen before we even know, of course.
He's definitely positioned himself globally as an outsider, whether he is or not.
Yes.
I don't know.
And I don't know whether to believe that or not.
He's a smart dude. You can see what you
not
about the guy. He is the way he has ruled Russia and the way he's played world politics as of late has been nothing short of breathtaking.
Yeah, that's one word for it. But I mean, he was trained by one of the most devious and intelligent and nasty organizations the world's ever known. So and he ended up near the top. So that says a lot for his mental capabilities.
There's been a lot of people in the KGB as well, though, that hadn't risen to power. And
no, but I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
Right.
He made it to the top there and then out of it. So it says a lot for
he just God in Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, so that he can do anything. There is nothing he can't do in Russia.
No.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, you definitely can't say he's stupid. That's one thing you cannot say about that man.
Oh man, he's so cool. We need a cool president.
Dude, he's
like
a
that.
monster.
We need a cool president like that.
He plays the role of evil villain from the 80s, type.
Oh yeah, he's the perfect Bond villain.
Oh,
he really is.
Yeah.
Putin is the ultimate Bond villain.
Smarter though, way smarter than any Bond villain. I'm
probably
sorry.
a lot shorter too.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why he's perfect.
Putin.
I think they're just scripting it. Why not? Why can't they just be doing that? I think they're getting the casting right.
Well, hey,
They were going to get Rubio and go with like a Latin JFK.
Do you
little
really
bit
think so?
saucier.
I think most of us would agree here that the president is probably just more of a figurehead, and that his advisors.
Well, yeah, I think it's a PR job more than
TV personality bought and paid for by corporate America.
I don't think any of us would argue.
Go out and vote, everybody.
I'm sure Putin
Your
has
vote matters.
Putin's got his strength. Obviously, do we think he's probably surrounded? Do we think it's probably a similar? I mean, there's obviously an oligarchy in Russia as well. Do we think that he's probably a figurehead, or does he obviously, you think, have more power in Russia than what Obama has here? And obviously, keep in mind that
I would feel like Putin would have more power.
And what we see, of course, too, is a lot of what we see is coming from their media, right? Or at least what we see of their media. Jeremy, what are your thoughts? Dictator or supreme dictator? Is he?
I think he. See, I don't follow the geopolitical scale as much as I used to, but from what I know about Putin and what I know about Russia and just their history in general, I would say he probably has more actual power than, say, Obama or even Bush or any of the presidents, in the last 150 plus years have had, or how much more, I don't know, but I would say he probably definitely has more control. Is less of just a figurehead, and again, I think that's more evident just in the person he was. I mean, look at the past look at the past presidents here. Except for a couple of people who actually served in wars, most of them were not very tough individuals. So Putin really was. He was like, besides being smart, he's just a nasty, hardened dude. So.
Well, if that is the case, thank God that he's at least a little more, seems a little more, I won't say sane, but has a little more less reckless than what seems like the U.S. president does. Although, it's kind of hard to see what we can see about what goes on from Russia geopolitically.
It's hard to say U.S. president, though, because then it's just president after president after president after president. Dylan, from your perspective, what are your thoughts on the upcoming election? Do you think we're going to see a difference from a foreign policy standpoint, no matter who wins?
I don't know. I don't think the foreign policy is going to change at all. I think the government is well controlled by the contractors, and they're going to continue to lobby, and they're going to continue the wars, they're going to continue the bombings. I don't foresee that stopping regardless of who the president is. A lot of people think Sanders is going to stop. I don't think Sanders is going to do anything to stop it. I don't think Trump is going to think. Trump probably make it worse. Clinton will probably make it worse too. So I don't think Cruz, even if somehow Cruz gets up here, I don't think he's going to make a difference. I think he's a fraud.
Well, Hillary definitely, I think, will make things worse. I think she'll ramp things up quite significantly from what Obama has done.
Well, she's got a track record of doing just so. You can only imagine.
Well, I was just gonna say she's the biggest through the entire thing. Even before the two sides got whittled down, she was the biggest war hawk the entire time. So there's no doubt that she would do probably the most extra damage when it comes to foreign policy.
I think it's interesting. What's that, Dylan?
Her husband was too, but everybody blames everything on Bush.
Right. Yeah. Good point, Dylan. I think it's interesting. You think that Trump would be more dangerous as far as more of a war hawk, because at least that's one of the things that I thought. I'm not a Trump supporter whatsoever, but I try to find when the discussion comes up, I could point to some of his statements about NATO and about him being against the war in Iraq. He seems, and of course this is probably just rhetoric, but he seems to be at least vocally the less of a war hawk than of the other candidates, but. You seem not to think that's going to make a big difference when he gets in office, huh? If he does get in office.
No, because I was having a conversation with a friend the other day who told me that the thing with Trump is he's not bought and paid for, and that's great, but if he becomes the president, he'll become bought and paid for. So anyone in that position is bought, paid for, and owned.
I thought it was
people who got to get to that position and end up getting shot.
I thought it was interesting. He named, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but when Megyn Kelly asked him to name one of his advisors, he keeps saying that he was going to, when asked about a question he didn't have the answer to, he and I think rightfully so, said, I will go and get the information. I'll surround myself with smarter people than I am, which I think is generally what most presidents do, of course. But he named Richard Haas, president of the Council on Foreign Relations, as his go-to guy. And that guy, as we probably all know, most of us know the CFR and know they control a lot about what goes on foreign policy wise. In fact, that's what Hillary says they actually call the shots there. So I would tend to, that being said, I don't dismiss the idea that Trump would be just as bad, if not worse. I think all these candidates are going to continue their war policy. It's kind of hard to imagine suddenly 2016 that we're going to get a president who suddenly cuts off puts an end of the kibosh to the warfare state that we've been pushing for the last few hundred years.
It's really hard to see it coming to an end at all. You know.
But do we have the money for it? I mean, I know that's a question we keep asking. I mean, I know
who's this Wii you keep asking about? You got a squirrel in your trousers or something, man? I
forgive me. The country. I mean,
I know it. I'm just busting your chops.
I understand.
You had it coming.
Well, no, well, it's not there. It'll just be created. So it'll continue as long as it has to, until the rest of the economy just collapses to the point where they can't stop it anymore, because they have become very adept at prolonging the inevitable. You know, they've had years and years and years to perfect this. But the one thing I just wanted to say about the whole Trump issue, beyond the fact that most likely nobody's going to change things, it doesn't matter who wins, even if for somehow one of the libertarians ended up getting in there, they would still end up being told. What?
It'd still be bought and paid for.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be told you're going to play ball or you're going to get JFK'd.
Yep.
Something along those lines. You know, like I say that without even thinking. I'm not going to get into the whole JFK thing, but I don't follow that all the way through. Just, but I think that. That with Trump, it's even worse, because a lot of people think, oh well, yeah, because he seems like he's anti-war because he claimed to be against the Iraq War, which at the time he was, to his credit. But the NATO thing, he's actually backtracked on, and a lot of people don't. I didn't even realize. I didn't find this out until a couple days ago, that apparently he actually walked that back from saying he wanted to pull out of NATO to now he wants to realign it and make it actually worse. So the guy, he's completely just goes with whatever is thrown his way. He has zero principles.
Any of that. That's the thing. He's going to do what he's going to do, and it's just whatever he's saying to get the votes. He don't know what he's saying. He don't care what he's saying.
Well, it's like I've said numerous times. It's like somebody in a snowball fight is throwing a bunch of snowballs, and every once in a while you accidentally pick up a rock.
Is there any
the American Revolution?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, is there any topic that man hasn't been like on either side of any topic?
No,
on both sides.
Definitely.
He's for everything.
Yeah.
It's great.
But the one thing that gets me his ego. I think his ego is what shines through, and part of me makes me wonder. And I'm play devil's advocate here, and I play Mr. Conservative, hopeful. Is it possible though? I mean, I think most of us would agree. Probably the U.S. do we spend more on warfare than any else? I mean, anything else in this country? What I wouldn't know, but what do you guys think? I mean, how much? Dylan, you may have a better idea.
No, it's not more. It's not the most. I don't think anymore, but it's still up there.
I can imagine
on war.
Yeah.
From my understanding, it's more than like the next 10 countries, but I don't know if that's actually.
No. As far as just the U.S. the U.S. spending.
Well, and that's spending that we know about.
Well, yeah, because there's the black ops spending that's off the books.
Completely off the books.
$10,000 toilets in the White House.
Yeah.
Right. It makes me wonder with Trump as big as his ego is, how much I can imagine. This guy's obviously going to be concerned about his record and the way that history views him. It makes me wonder if at least the part what he said about the debt. Now I know all presidents are going to get in office and you can't escape growing the government, but it makes me wonder if the monetary issue is something that he may not take a little more serious.
Let me interject real quick. In 2015, military spending accounted for 54% of all federal discretionary spending at a total of $590.
I was wrong. Damn.
$5 billion. So 54% of all.
Is there any?
Wait a minute. That's like
600 billion. 600 billion. Yeah.
Is there a second largest? What's the second largest, or is it all just?
Let's see. Second largest.
Kevin gets a point on that one.
Yeah.
is okay. It's
Good one for
there's
Kevin.
quite a few times. Oh, are y'all ready for this? Is this real?
Break it down, baby.
This isn't real.
Tell me.
Okay.
I think China.
Okay. No.
Japan's second.
Hold on. I was just looking at it.
U.S. spending, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the second? What do they spend? What do they? Because it's not mine.
Hey.
What do they spend the second most on?
Not we.
It's tied. It's government, education, Medicare, veterans benefits, and housing, and they all get 6% each.
Housing.
So let me repeat that: military gets 54% of the budget. Number two,
And those other ones get 24 together. Wow.
yeah, 6%.
And that's the money that we know about.
And not to praise the welfare state, but I keep that in mind when people constantly gripe about individuals. I think we all have an issue with the welfare state, and we understand what welfare tends to do for a lot of people. But when people want to knock and be the first one to yank every benefit out without realizing that the warfare state spends so much more of your money.
Well, that's welfare too. I count that.
No, I wouldn't say it's not. It's definitely corporate welfare. But as far as what'd you say, Dylan?
I get a welfare check twice a month.
See, there you go.
He admits it.
Yeah, well,
He calls it, he's calling it like it is.
that's a little in joke that we have with Dylan. Dylan is because he does what he does for a living. He's a welfare whore, and he gets a check twice a month for being a welfare whore. Welfare whore with a gun.
We just like wake up early and stuff.
Hey, Dylan, I've got a question. You said earlier.
He does. He does. Look, he's. I mean, military is what it is.
Dylan, you mentioned
I couldn't hack it. There's no way I could hack it. Kevin, you're just dying to say something over here. Go ahead.
No, I was going to wait till you got through.
I was having a moment. Can I reflect and have my moment
Hey,
for
man,
a moment?
I just want to make sure the moment had all of the room to grow that it needed to do so.
You're getting too heavy, man. You need to lighten up.
Hey, Dylan, man, it's not very often we have a guy that's this open-minded who's willing to speak as he is that is still in the service. But Dylan, you said earlier, you mentioned somebody, and I wasn't sure if you were talking about the guys that are in the service, but you mentioned people being scared or worried that ISIS was going to come over here. You were, I don't know if you remember actually saying that, but was that a general idea? I know obviously I hear that from a lot of our fellow civilians. I hate to say but a lot of the fellow peoples out here that are concerned about ISIS. But military guys, are any of you guys actually concerned that ISIS would make their way over to American shores?
I think a lot of military know better. I'm sure there's a good amount that do think they have this attitude of that if we don't fight them over there, they'll come here and fight us.
Right, that's what I was wondering.
For the most part, I would say military are smart enough to know that that's bullshit.
Right.
Just because we understand how, war works in a way, and we understand combat, and that they would never last over here.
Yeah, I mean, you have your mere 500 million guns on the street to contend with for starters.
I genuinely hear people that it sounds like they're concerned that one day they'll look out the window and see a group of 30 or 40 black-clad men with sandals and assault rifles running through the streets. I generally think that's what people think.
They're more concerned about individual insider attacks, like the so-called one in Texas where it was two guys tried to shoot up it was a cartoon event, I guess, and they tried to shoot it up and ended up getting shot by an off-duty cop. They're worried about stuff like that, or they're worried about another 9/11. Gotcha.
Which seems a little plausible. It seems like a genuine concern. I'm sure I'd say the governments would be worried about that, but they'll probably know about it before that happens, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm worried about another 9/11 too, and I think that's why it's time to go ahead and start systematically dismantling the United States government. But maybe that's another show for another night.
Yeah, but Yeah, I'd have to agree, though. It's probably the only way to stop it. Because
I mean, there's no other solution. I mean, everything that we've talked about tonight, the solution clearly points to immediately starting to dismantle the United States government, and let's start fresh. Let's hit the reset button. Remember Nintendo? Remember when you were playing Super Mario? And you got pissed off on that one level and you still had like 98 lives left because you went and jumped on the little coupon on the stairs and you got all those free lives. And you just hit the reset button and start over. And I think it's time for us to do that. I really do. Going to the polls is not going to bring that effect. It's not.
It doesn't matter. It's just a survey. That's all it is.
That's all it is. How do you feel about Hillary Clinton today?
Anyway.
Well, by no means do I think it'll kick it off, the dismantling of the federal government, but I do think the release of the 28 pages need to be something sped up. I thought it was interesting. Thomas Massey said that one of the reasons he was asked whether or not he thought this would definitely affect the United States going forward in the way they deal with our so-called foreign allies, and he said no, but he did think that this would make Americans, all Americans, and not just Americans, but elected officials, so-called elected officials, recognize and question the need to go to war and the official stories that were being told by this. If anything, when enough people realize that they've had the wool pulled over their eyes, and I know that's not, I hate to be a pessimist, that may not do a whole lot, but I think that would at least be a start in furthering at least a lot of our case. That there's a lot of bad shit going on, and unfortunately, we're not being told the truth about it. So
no, and even when we do find the truth out, it's like we were, when we first started the conversation with Jeremy, it's just an apathetic shrug. Oh, gee, they're up to shenanigans again. So let's hurry up and sit down and eat some dinner. Wheel of Fortune's almost on. It
was the USS Maine that started the Spanish-American War. It blew up.
Yep.
And they blamed them, and we went to war with them. And that's a known fact now. I remember that in high school, in government public school. And we just shrug it off. Like, you don't think that same thing could be happening right now?
That's awesome. You learned about. I was not taught about that. I did find out that later that we blamed Spain on it. Blew it up in our.
Where were you going to school at? They don't sat down here in Alabama.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, but that's. Yeah, but that's the problem with it, because most of these, conspiracy theorists in general get a bad rap. I mean, some of them are batshit, but for the most, there are legitimate conspiracies that have been proven time and time again. But the problem is it ends up being through like classified documents that have like a 25 or 50 year shelf life. Right. So by the time they finally come to light, the people that were screaming about it at the time are usually long dead, and the new batch of people are just like are fed the information, and it's presented as, well, this is how it was done back then, and we're much better now, and everybody just goes, oh, okay.
Well, all the Kennedy stuff is supposed to be released 75 years after the fact.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, and by then, how many people would look, I mean, saying, because we got to be coming close to that, right? What was that, 64, 61, somewhere in there?
We're getting close here in the next decade or so. We should see it.
Yeah, but so like by then,
if some of these were actually released, but I'm sorry, Jeremy, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. I was just going to say, by the time that happens, if the federal government is still standing by that, if the system has not collapsed, which I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but if it is, how many people are actually going to look at that and go, oh, now we know that they were bad then and they must still be bad now. Now we must do something.
Oh, yeah, nobody's going to care.
Yeah, the majority of, the people that are still alive that have been screaming about this the whole time will feel vindicated, but then nobody will do anything.
That was a long time ago.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody, there's people who've been following it who've picked up the mantle since then and have made it their life's mission after the fact. Like, they weren't even alive then. Like, I know a bunch of people like that. Like, even them, they'll be vindicated, but what's going to happen? And that's by design. The reason these things are classified for that long is exactly for that. I mean, and it's just gotten progressively worse as technology has improved. I say it all the time. We live in a meme and Twitter generation. That's the society we live in. People think it used to just be sound bites. Now it's gotten even shorter.
Images, right?
Now it's memes and tweets and hashtags. That's all it is. That's the world most people live in most of the time, and I'm guilty of it too. Although I like to think I'm able to step back from it and recognize what's actually happening, but most people don't.
We all do.
Well, of course, but most people just that's how they live. So they don't, that's why every election cycle, the same stupid crap gets brought out again, and everybody just nods along and goes, "Oh yeah, hope and change, or change and hope." It's totally different, It's we people in our circles and stuff, make the half joking references to 1984 all the time, but it's gone beyond that. But that's exactly what it is. Everybody just nods along. Oh yeah. We've always been at war with East Asia, with Eurasia. Yeah.
Anna, yeah.
It's always so. People are just they don't these major events, like as sad as it is, if and when those 28 pages finally get from the 9/11 Commission finally get declassified, how many people are going to do anything other than maybe scream for Bush and Cheney's head if they're still actually alive when it comes to pass? Beyond that, what else are the majority of people going to want to do about it?
I don't think they're alive. I think they'll wait till they pass.
Well, exactly.
Not a
but even if it did.
He's gonna.
My dad has said that repeatedly. He said it'll come out. He said just wait till he goes when they're both dead. He goes, they'll tell everybody.
Yeah, they'll tell everybody.
Yeah.
Well, just an unfortunate mistake. Sorry about that.
He
won't happen again.
He says as soon as they're both dead, he goes, they'll tell people.
Just keep
he
voting.
said they won't care then.
As soon as they're both dead, which
Cheney and Bush.
Oh, okay.
Just keep voting and keep paying your
old
taxes.
age.
You'll
He
be
goes,
all right.
whatever that is, and they'll release it.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Even if it did happen before then, what is anybody going to do? They're just going to go, "Oh, we knew it." Moving on now.
Exactly. By then, 9/11 will be like Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
We'll have a escape for it, and that's it.
We may have something bigger on our hands to be trying to decipher, unfortunately.
But I think technology's had such, a large change in it too, because, the capabilities to have, spy on every part of our lives. When Pearl Harbor happened, they didn't have the ability to do what they can do now. You can't type anything. Don't think anything you type.
Well, they had enough technology to know about certain stuff around Pearl Harbor, but I don't think we should get into that conversation right now.
Right.
That could get me really mad.
Going with that, Jeremy.
Right. That's a whole nother conversation, but you can't type anything into anything without it being recorded now, even if you don't press send.
Mm-hmm.
On Facebook, that's happening. If you type something out on Facebook and you don't press enter, it Facebook still has that.
Oh yeah, it's keystrokes. That's all it is. They're taking it all. Of course.
The only thing that is comforting about that, and not that loss of privacy is comforting one bit, but I guess I'm a little bit happy to know that at least they've, and I forget what the term of this is, but they've acquired so much material and so much data. And they're going to continue to do so, that it seems unfathomable that, I won't say unfathomable, but it seems like they're going to have a hard time making very good use of any of this stuff unless any of us pretend to decide to go be a
I'm still trying to figure out why I'm on Facebook. I was thinking about that the other day, and I know it's become pretty much almost essential to have Facebook now. I mean, it really is. I mean, can you think of one person in your life? We're not talking about like people that are really, really old and out of touch with technology.
Dang it.
But I mean, people our age, everybody has a Facebook page. Everybody.
Yeah.
As far as I know, without actually removing or deleting the email, there's no way to actually get rid of your Facebook.
Yeah, they just suspend it.
Yeah.
Deactivate it.
That's
it's
creepy.
there.
And there was talk of having pages that were already saved for yourself. And in fact, I've even seen it suggested that if you don't have a Facebook page, go and actually register one, because somebody is liable to go ahead and do one for you.
That's it.
I hope the person that does my Facebook page is going to do it way cooler than I did. I expect more trips to Hawaii.
Let's do that. Let's open that business.
Supermodel orgies.
Do Facebook people do Facebook pages for when you're dead.
That would be awesome.
For what?
For when you're dead. When you die.
Have somebody agree to keep up your account with you? Is that what
No, because you just make it. Just make it over like, this was this guy's life. Look,
well, actually,
like a memorial page type.
Well, you can. Well, actually,
you can, but just
you could
time.
Well, no, you can do that. Well, I mean, you'd have to plan it out really well. But like with the pages, I know you can publish stuff. You could schedule stuff to publish for like at least a year, I think more ahead of time. So you could just set up the thing and set up an entire thing that would. I mean, you may have to have somebody help run it after the fact, but you could have something set up that you put together yourself, and just set the entire thing up with a bunch of posts and have it all scheduled for like whatever a year, and then just every year. So you just have to
Oh wow!
Until you die, you just have to refresh that every year. So it just keeps scheduling and doesn't actually post it. And then once you're finally dead, it'll just automatically post.
You go back at the end of the year to see all the cool stuff you did.
Yeah, there you go.
And my time op is going to be so
business
awesome
op right there, man.
Here we go. Shannon starts off lamenting about being on Facebook in general, and I've just given him another reason to stay on it forever.
Oh yeah, I'm not really going to be on it, but y'all won't know that.
I know why you're on Facebook. It's to remind.
How does that bastard afford to go to Japan all the time?
Because poker playing you're doing, man. That's what I see you on Facebook doing.
Shut up! Don't be telling my business on. God,
Homeboy just made 50,000 new tokens. I swear I'm going to rob you as soon as we leave here. One of these days you're going to get mugged. I'm going to leave here 10 minutes early. So
if you can physically put them tokens in your hand, I'll split them with you. That's not theft.
Take your phone. How about that?
Oh God!
I'm so going to do that now. I'm going to.
Man, that is such an awesome idea.
Wow! I'll be your first customer. Okay.
Hey, will you keep up with my Facebook page for me? You're always on the computer.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I'd do it for you.
You'll look.
You'd screw mine up though.
Yeah,
I'd be doing some stupid crap like I don't know.
Hey, real quick, hey Dylan, I don't know if we asked this or not. Are you in the? Are you overseas now, or where are you exactly? Are you in the States here?
No, I'm in the States. I'm in Kentucky.
Gotcha.
Getting lucky in Kentucky.
Yeah.
He's not too far away then. Well, man, if you ever come through Birmingham, you ought to consider.
He's staying at your house. He ain't staying at my house.
Hey, I'm married, man. I didn't ask. I
wasn't trying to make it like all that.
Might want to do a.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Might want to do an in-shop interview, man.
Yeah, definitely from down there.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
I go to Texas a lot, so I go around that area.
See if we can't get Jeremy to come down too. Get out of the north.
Get my ass out of New York. I wish.
It's beautiful down here. You'd love it.
Okay, we've talked about this, Shannon. If I could be out of New York, I would be already. If it wasn't for my situation with my kids, I would have been out the door years ago.
Well, come on, man. You can crash at Kevin's house.
He has moved to Kentucky, so he can walk my dogs for me.
Hey, listen. I actually have plenty. I have offers in at least 6 states currently. I think it's not that I don't want to.
Hey, Dave.
Party at Dave's house. Yeah, that's what's up.
So, Jamie, what's your perspective of the election now that all the candidates have descended on your home state?
Oh gosh,
that's fun.
Luckily I avoided that the other night. I don't know because I live right where Trump's rally was the other day, and I actually work like part of my because I have a pet sitting business, so during the day I drive around and do dog walks for people. So I have to drive right through where they had that thing, but I missed it by a couple hours. Luckily, I mean, to me it doesn't really matter. I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Hillary's going to win the nomination, even though Bernie supporters are going to keep crying because Bernie keeps winning all these states and still managing to lose. And then
like 3 delegates.
Trump's most likely going to win the nomination only because Cruz there's no way. It would take at this point, even if the Republicans had the delicate situation that the Democrats do, even if they did, I don't think there's any way they could pull it off. Like Trump's popularity over Cruz is just way too high. It's going to be inevitable. They're going to have to give it to him. And when it comes down to those two, I don't think it really matters. Like I said, Hillary's the more war hawkish one, not by much, but she is. Other than that, it's going to be the same as it doesn't matter. Same policies are going to get rolled out. They just may get rolled out under different names and at different times to confuse the people or to line up with whoever is controlling the Congress at the time, so it can be blamed on them while the president's there and then blamed on the president after the fact, just like it's been time and time again.
Yeah, the old shell game. But, as far as war hawkish goes, total body count, if you're voting strictly on body count, Hillary Clinton is definitely your candidate.
Yeah, it would have to be.
Absolutely.
Oh, way by far. She's got all of them beat combined easily. And then some. Got a few left in Arkansas left over.
Mm-hmm.
Add on her husband's body count, too.
Yeah.
See, I like the
body count's a little bit different, though. We're not talking about killing it.
That's a good question. Which number is higher? Has Hillary Clinton killed more people or Bill Clinton?
That's not fair.
Good question.
Bill's out there getting some right now, dude.
I'm still pretty sure Hillary killed more. Because, you can add in the few they've killed together. Vince Foster and... did I say that?
Killed together. Okay.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine Bill was doing anything together with her.
I don't think Hillary and Bill have been in the same bedroom together for like 30 years.
I wouldn't doubt that.
No. Do they even live in the same house together now?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
You don't really see them together a lot in the campaign trail compared to other.
You smash it up. And like everybody's like, oh, he's sick. He's dying. He ain't the Bill he used to be.
Well, he got in a fight with a Black Lives Matter person the other day, didn't he?
He's doing it on purpose.
I think he is too.
He's always been like that with her.
He's tried to do everything he can to divorce that woman, and she will not let him, dude.
He don't care. He don't care about that.
Yeah, well, now it's a political marriage. That's all it is.
Oh yeah, but
I think it's always been a political marriage.
It's been that way for
the
whole marriage.
We live in 2016. It's not like we live in the 50s anymore.
They're both worth a lot more.
Look, it's made it this long.
But they're worth more together than they are separate.
Yeah. Exactly. They'd have to split so much stuff up.
Well, no, not even split. They wouldn't be able to They wouldn't be able to play off. They wouldn't be able to play off each other and gain the big money anymore. They'd be separate. They can't pull in as much. That's what regardless of what they have to split.
It's a business. It's a business.
Yeah, it's completely a business. It's completely a business agreement.
Procter and Gamble. Yeah. Johnson and Johnson.
But I think
I think that's more accurate for the two of
them. In 2008, he was introducing her somewhere and introduced her as the junior senator from New York. Now, why?
Oh,
when you're introducing someone that's running for president and your wife, would you say that?
No, it's your
accuracy.
That's the difference here. Is the word bitch? Yeah, I got back over here.
Junior, I guess.
The junior senator from New York.
Yeah, like why would he say that? Yeah. What reason would he have other than just to be Bill Clinton?
She'll be president someday. Just give her a chance.
He had just on a line backstage, and he wasn't even thinking about what he needed to be talking about.
Yeah. Still keeps it real. Yeah, man, I would.
Man, he does.
Look, out of all of them,
he's messed up on the campaign trail with the Black Lives Matter. He got in the argument, and then he talked about how Obama's presidency has been failed while she's been running around talking about how everything is done great. Meanwhile, 4 years ago, you couldn't get her at the convention. She's in Vietnam or wherever she was at on some foreign policy trip. But now, he's the greatest thing ever.
She sucks at trying to pour a draft beer, too.
Glad to have my
please. They were at each other's throat during the, what was it, 08 when they ran against when they were...
Yeah, they hate each other, and everybody knows it.
Well, that's Clinton and...
the Obamas.
Clinton Obama. Yeah, Hillary and Obama.
I know it's been a while since we've heard the whole debate about Obama being born in a foreign country, but do you know who were that idea started at first.
Her.
It was her.
It was
I know.
her campaign, and even after Obama got elected for like almost the first 6 to 8 months, I would still point to this website when I was with people talking. That website, one of their main websites, was still up. It was something Democrats for Hillary, something, or Democrats against Obama, or something. But that was still on their website. It was still up for a number of months after that. But just bears repeating, yeah, they're not the best of friends, despite the facade.
Are you eating ice cream over there?
Hey, this is not.
And
just
what
ice
was the
cream.
comment
God,
that
that
they
looks
say
good.
Bill Clinton made about Obama couldn't carry their bags back in the day or something like? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Apparently,
Well, that's
they
just funny.
really just like, it's really like bad.
that's that man. You can take the president out of Arkansas, but
I was gonna say he's just an old boy from Arkansas. You expect any different from him?
golly,
But you know,
tough,
I wasn't in the room. I don't know if he said.
Yeah.
That's what they say. I think it was in a book that they wrote about Clinton. So you don't believe that if Trump were to become president, it would be any more off the wall, unhinged than what we're seeing?
No.
You don't believe that we would see like this? Just people just. You don't think he's taking people out of the country?
No, he will play ball just as he'll play ball just like everybody else has.
exactly.
He will be-
Or he'll have an unfortunate accident, or at the very least he'll have a scare like Reagan did in his first year.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Reagan wasn't a scare. Reagan was it didn't go according to plan.
Okay. Either way, we're at least we're in agreement that wasn't just a random
Yeah.
situation.
Out the truth about that in the next 45
it was
years.
Jodie Foster, man.
Yeah, it was Jodie Foster.
Leave it be.
All
Not
about
to impress her.
Yeah.
But no, Reagan, yeah, his policies, like he changed dramatically pre-shooting and post-shooting.
Oh yeah.
And of course they all do once they get elected, but I'm talking like drastic. He went from a guy that Ron Paul was like, this guy's great, you know, small government, to the next thing you know.
But he,
Of it.
a lot like Trump, was a Democrat for the majority of his life and only changed to get where he needed to go.
Oh, sure. And Trump
And all he was doing was channeling
the government.
Yeah.
Well, all he was doing was channeling Goldwater, and what he was channeling from Goldwater and getting added to that was from Carl Hess. And Carl Hess was actually speaking for Goldwater on all the stuff that sounded like amazingly libertarian. That was all Carl Hess. That wasn't Barry Goldwater. It wasn't Ronald Reagan. But he ran on the platform of, you know, Carter and all these things he's done. I'm gonna dismantle this Department of Education that he just started. Yeah, he not only did not dismantle it after that accident, he increased it tenfold. And that's just one of the things, you know.
Secret Service is fucking up for everybody.
Yeah. Oh man.
You know, it's funny. I'm just sitting here thinking about when Obama first took office. And again, this show is broadcast from Birmingham, Alabama, the epicenter of the civil rights struggle. And as you can imagine, it's still very polarized here in town. But I remember when he was first elected, and some of the good old boys, the Bubbas down at the construction site. Oh man, there ain't nobody gonna stand for that, man. He's gonna wind up getting shot and blah blah this and this that and the other. You watch, you mark my words. He's gonna get assassinated, man. People ain't gonna put up with no black man in office. Blah blah.
That would be the worst.
Of course, they didn't use the word black man, of course. And again, of course, after I would scream something for about 2 or 3 minutes and then storm off. That was a lot of rhetoric about that, but Obama has done a surprisingly good job at being a company man, I guess is a nice way to put it.
He's done a fairly decent job
other
of
terms
staying
for
under
it,
the
but-
radar, really.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, he really has, and quietly have been involved in some very groundbreaking legislation, I guess you could say.
Because they gave
Obamacare.
Well, they gave him a really
By forcing Americans to purchase health insurance. That was I mean, think about any other candidate that could have pulled something like that off. And it is one of the biggest scams that I can possibly think of right off the top of my head.
Well, yeah, I mean, because Hillary tried to sell basically the same thing back in Bill's last term.
Yep.
And that didn't go over well.
No.
Romney wouldn't have been able to sell Romney Care on the large scale like he did in Massachusetts. It wouldn't have worked. So yeah, you're probably right. It had to be somebody charismatic, and polarizing and likable at the same time, like Obama.
And at the time, even conservative sources, even the Heritage Foundation was actually at the time even calling for a single payer system at the time. I thought that was a little bit wild, but I was not surprised when I went back and looked that apparently that was on the radar for, like you said, for Hillary and a lot of others as well. Hey, not to interrupt, but a friend of mine just sent me a message and was asking about the 28 pages, and apparently 28 pages is trending on Facebook now.
Because of the 60 Minutes report. Hooray.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good job. Minutes.
That is cool. I watched the other night. Short. It's only 15 minutes worth of material, but hey, when you make it to 60 minutes,
that's a good. It's getting that out in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, and Senator Bob Grantham actually he was a little more outspoken than he has been in past interviews, especially with such a short amount of time. So, who knows? Hooray for at least the.
Bob Graham's been pretty outspoken about it.
He's pissed off seemingly, and he's getting really, really frustrated. So. Hats off to him and Thomas Massey and I guess a couple other cats pushing for the release.
Boy, man, we were sold such a lie on that one. God.
So.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't buy any of it because, I mean, right off the bat, I was like, why are we going to war with Iraq? They couldn't prove anything to do with this. And terror. Weapons,
Yeah,
mass
don't worry
destruction.
about- don't worry about-
nuclear bombs. Woo, they're going
Don't worry about that 9/11 thing. They got weapons over there, so we're just going to go over there and get them.
Yeah.
Well, what's wild is they actually, and the U.S. actually knew, I'm sure you guys saw the New York Times did a piece about this because they had some guys hurt when they were trying to dismantle them for the U.S. military, it's my understanding, that the U.S. knew, of course, that they had some weapons that the U.S. had helped with the facilitation of those weapons during the Iran-Iraq war. So wouldn't have they had been a little more explained to do that if we went into Iraq looking for weapons of mass destruction. Oh, where's some weapons, but it looks like they originated with from the West, or at least with our knowledge.
Yeah. Oh no, they found no weapons. Remember,
Right,
there was no weapons there. Yeah, but maybe.
Oh no, they didn't find any, and then they did, and then they didn't, and then they did, and then they didn't again. I think.
But luckily, all of that missing money from the Pentagon the day before the attack. So.
What was that? $5 billion or something?
Oh, it's trillion.
Trillion. $5 trillion.
Yeah, there's a
Exactly.
Yeah,
But there was more missing. They got caught with more missing. Not too long ago.
Recently,
I heard that recently. Yeah, I did hear that recently.
Like,
and of course, they want
almost 3.
They want us to know that it's not exactly missing in accounting terms. It's just not accounted for. So it's not been spent. It's there.
That
it's
black
just,
budget we were talking about.
Right,
earlier.
right. Don't worry. It's not there. It's in the budget. It's just the wrong spot.
So it accounts for a lot.
Somebody left. Somebody left it in their pants and wore a different one to the shop the next day. It's all right. It'll come back.
I tell you what.
Fell behind the dresser.
Now that story, my favorite was the whole Apple phone or getting that fixed. It's like, well, we finally got it fixed, guys. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, did they give it to like somebody's kid to get it fixed? Like,
no, they either accidentally stumbled upon the code, or they actually had the capability the whole time, and it was just a smokescreen, which is more likely.
Snowden came out and said it was a joke that they said they can't do it. It was a joke,
and it was a smear
they
campaign
can't get
against
in that
Apple.
phone.
A smear campaign against Apple and a message to the other cell phone providers said you need to make it as easy as possible. If you want to do business in the United States, make it as easy as possible for us to get into anybody's phone that we want to at a moment's notice.
Let me tell you something. High-level officials are not allowed to carry iPhones. Barack Obama is not allowed to carry an iPhone. You know why?
Why is that?
Because they can be easily hacked.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And yet, they've got the audacity to be like, we can't get in this phone.
I got Android myself.
Well, yeah, but again, to me, that was just one of those things that was almost just a testing the water situation. They wanted to. They store, like, when they do stuff like that. It's to try to intimidate, but it's also to try to gauge the public perception. See how many people react like you just did and say, well, of course they could get into it this whole time. We're not idiots. And to see how many people get up in arms about it. And the people that get up in arms about it are obviously still heavily duped, and they can go, okay, we still have control. Good.
Or maybe even possibly, kind of stir up a little sentiment against Apple.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely. Well, no, of course.
To stand up against the United
Oh,
States
no, it's
government.
great PR for Apple.
Well, for people who actually value privacy, it's great PR for them. But I think what Shannon's saying, and I would agree that it was a way to try to blame them.
I forget there's people out there like that. My bad.
Speaking of comment sections, woo.
My bad.
Well, you guys might find this interesting. So we thought that maybe the FBI. I told you guys a couple weeks ago that it was a Israeli company that the FBI said was the ones to actually crack the iPhone. But now the Washington Post just reported 3 hours ago, actually. So it's pretty up to date that they cracked it with the help of a professional hacker who discovered and brought to the Bureau at least one previously unknown software flaw, according to people familiar with the matter. So sounds like they're claiming now that a mysterious hooded unknown figure came and dropped the phone off essentially and said,
probably those kids that hacked into the iPhone way back in the day when this whole thing started. Anyway, you can't find that story online
and that's
anymore.
So far
that story's
after
gone.
That's so far after the fact, too. Nobody's even gonna hear that.
We'll hear more about it 75 years from now.
Set your clock by it.
Where's all
God, I'll be dead by then.
Well, just like the money that was destroyed, of course, it will the financial records that were destroyed 9/11. All it takes is one, either plane or other projectile to destroy a whole records area. Doesn't? I'm sure that all that could be easily wiped away.
A plane that could never, ever, ever be seen was never seen crashing into the building. You couldn't find a single piece of it. It was a hard crash.
Oh, wouldn't it be a shame if a hacker in just a few years just somehow wipes out all of this information?
Hopefully they'll leave my Facebook page up because it's still going to be running it.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's going to ruin my business if they do something like that. I'm going to have problems with that one.
Can I take an annual spring trip to Ireland for my page?
Yeah, we can work
That'd be
that
nice.
out.
I'd like that. 2 weeks in Ireland.
It's going to cost you a little extra, the vacation package.
Remember, I don't...
The vacation
I
package.
drink anymore, so no pictures of the pubs, but,
Okay. We'll work it out.
Fair enough.
We'll do the exclusive vegan package.
Oh, no. I got to have meat. Haggis.
We'll talk about it after the show.
No, haggis is Scottish. I'm sorry. Yeah.
We'll worry about it later.
I get pistol whipped for that one.
You may not be asked back to Ireland after your first trip. You talk about haggis.
Tell me about it. Yeah, I'm going to get a run out of the country as soon as I get off the plane that never existed to begin with.
So actually, that still might make for an interesting story for the Facebook page.
I can't afford to go to Ireland. What kind of money do you think I make?
Speaking of Facebook, how many of these crazy Bernie people do you think are going to end up coming over? I don't know what you want to call it, anarchist or whatever, but just people that are fed up. They're just like, screw it all.
I don't know.
Almost none of them.
You don't think any of them will?
If you have some
No.
hardcore Bernie on your page, I'm telling you, man, mass suicide. Those people are going to be
look at how many Ron
forever.
Paul people did.
It's time to go Tommy and overthrow the whole system.
Bernie, besides the fact that Bernie is not Ron Paul, Burn bots are not Paul bots. Oh man, they are a special breed. Those guys, because they'll be disillusioned maybe with the democratic side of the system, but they so desperately love Bernie because of his promises of the things that he's going to give them or give other people that I don't think it's going to they're going to all of a sudden go, oh, wait a minute, we can do this ourselves. Yeah, it seems more likely that they're going to go in search for another bigger government, and they're going to turn to
just vote again.
Well, yeah, they'll turn to the Republicans, and they'll realize, if anything, they'll turn to the Republicans and realize, oh, wait a minute, these guys are actually pretty big government. All right, yay, they'll still get us stuff too. And then maybe the next time around, or the time after that, if it happens to them, then they'll make the switch.
Well, if there was ever a time for Bernie to take advantage and buy a small tract of land out in the middle of Africa and a large stock of Kool-Aid, now would probably be it. He could just take all of his followers right down there and start his own mini kingdom, man. He could elect him king.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'd like to think that more people would become disillusioned enough, but just
here's one.
People that follow him are a little too in love with not just Bernie, but Bernie and government.
Here's one. Who do you think, between both Dylan, you two, between your average? Now I know there's obviously there's exception to every rule, but your Trump voter versus your Bernie voter. We've seen it looks like Trump can do no wrong. It doesn't matter what he's done, what he flip flops on. Trump supporters are going to be Trump supporters. Do you think that Bernie's supporters are more hardcore than Trump's are in that aspect, or do you think? And do you think either two? Which one do you think is probably more economically? Would you give it the nod to as far as their economic prowess? I guess. Either of you, Shannon. Who you think's got the most hardcore?
Did we lose
fans?
Everybody? Is everybody still here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So I'm here. I was waiting.
Dylan, because we haven't heard.
I know
from
that's
Dylan.
why I want to give Dylan.
Dylan kind of got pushed off down to the back there.
That's all right. I'd say Trump, as far as hardcore goes, I'd say they're pretty equal. But another thing I have noticed with a lot of, maybe it's just in my circle, I've noticed this, a lot of Sanders supporters that were Ron Paul people in 2012. That's why I always ask people who they supported last election. I think some of them are just going with whatever they think the cool thing to do is. Because in 2012, Ron Paul was kind of the cool thing as far as anti-establishment. And there's a lot of people who think Trump's anti-establishment and Sanders is anti-establishment. So you got these people just trying to go along with the cool thing. But as far as hardcore goes, no, I'd say they're the same. Economically, I have to give it to Trump over Sanders just because he's a dirty socialist. But.
Yeah, but Trump's a dirty fascist.
Yeah,
and a proud one. He's
choosing between two evils, right? So.
Trump.
Well, please. That's like. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to. What were you saying?
I said Trump isn't dirty. He's beautiful and clean.
Who's Trump?
Have you ever seen his hands?
You mean Daddy?
Oh, Daddy. Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're both horrible.
They are.
Yeah,
but
they're all horrible. Every one of them. And Cruz.
The anti-establishment thing about the two of them is the biggest joke because neither of them are anti-establishment. Bernie.
How long has Bernie been in office?
Bernie's been in office since at least the early '80s. I think he held one position like in the early '70s, and then again starting in like '80, '81, and he's been there ever since. But in between the times, he was also he was a teacher for Head Start, so he was still like on the government dole his entire life, basically. So he's definitely not anti-establishment. Trump, like I was saying before, is a proud fascist because he's been quoted numerous times talking about how he's used crony capitalism and he's put it in those terms to his advantage, and he's quite happy about that and wants to continue that.
It wasn't wrong because those were the laws.
It was, but exactly, he's proud of it. He admits to being a fascist and a proud one.
Yeah,
okay, great.
He goes, well, we're going to change the laws. Okay, we're going to change the laws. There are going to be better laws. But that's what the laws that were there. So I just did it.
And if I need your house to build a building, I'll take your house too.
Right. And if that's the law, it's the law.
I didn't do that. That's the law that did that.
No. It's not just the law. It's a better law.
It's going to be a great law.
A great law.
We're going to make the laws great again.
Oh, man.
I just don't know what's going to happen if he gets in. He's the only one that, to me, I hate them all equally, but I know what I'm gonna get with all of them. There's something about Trump. I'm just like, I don't know what this guy is about.
Do you think more people
Like,
are going
is
to
he
vote
just-
in the general election? I'm talking about vote totals. Do you think more people are going to vote in the general election this time out, or do you think less people are going to vote this time out? The general election, the primaries are over. We've already picked our candidates.
More?
Really?
Yeah,
It'll be more.
I think so.
it'll be
yeah.
more. And I'm gonna tell you something,
Because it's a whole good
There's
versus
gonna-
evil thing with both
there's
of them.
gonna be a lot of people vote for Donald Trump that will never admit it in public.
Yeah, because they cannot
Yep.
stand Hillary Clinton.
I raised this point earlier, and I still think it'll be interesting to see how many people are
I'm not one of those people.
not registered to
But
vote.
there are people that'll do it. You watch.
How many people are not registered, or actually registered to vote, and don't realize that you actually had to have? Pretty sure the registration date's already passed. But I'll be curious how many people are fired up about voting that will not know where their voting station is come polling day.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of that's with the communities and even the campaigns, are on top of that because they want people to come out and vote for their candidates.
Or you could just not go vote at all and sit at the house and watch some old Game of Thrones, man. I'm down with that.
Well, then you can't complain, Shannon. So.
Well, and again, that's why I am actually going to make an appearance at the polls. I'm going to walk in there. I'm going to show them my ID. I'm going to go walk into the little curtain there. I'm going to pull the curtain back. I'm going to skip every single other stupid question that they ask me down and go and write my candidate in, which will be Vermin Supreme. I want my damn pony.
I'm not going to ever let you live that down.
Well, hey. I voted. My voice was heard, and it was ignored. And I didn't get my damn pony, and I'm gonna be butthurt just like all the Bernie fans.
Yeah, Dylan, trust me, you don't have to let it down, man. Trust me, he's not going to let us let it down.
He's an oral tyrant. He wants to control what happens in your mouth by making you brush your.
Yeah, I can't get down with that, man.
And let me tell you something. I say it every time, and I'm going to keep saying it until the election's over. And you shut up about Vermin Supreme. That pony is a hidden tax because you gotta buy it food.
Yeah. Well, you'll be screaming.
You want to
you'll be
start
screaming
that?
a different tune when the zombie attacks comes, and I'm ready. You ain't because you tuned the
Feed
whole thing
ain't
out.
free. The ponies are a hidden tax.
Fear
Shut
the boot.
up.
Supreme 16.
Hidden tax? Who's paying for the ponies in the first place?
Don't worry about that.
A pony-based
He said-
economy is the only economy
He
that
said they're
works.
going to be free.
All right, now listen.
Claim that part.
I got to say, I don't know much about the pony-based economy, although I will say it already sounds better than the resource-based economy, so I'll give it a listen.
Sure. Looked a pony in the eyes. I mean, if that's not payment enough, I don't know what is.
I have, and you know what? I'm a big fan of animals, but not that big a fan, man.
I really love ponies.
What about people with apartments? Where are they going to put their ponies?
Yeah.
Well, then, look, we'll suss all that out.
They'll be communal stables. It'll be fine.
Vermin's, it's all falling apart.
No.
Yeah.
Vermin's actually a closet communist, and he just hasn't let anybody know
There's
yet.
no what. There's the look.
Vermin's policies are falling apart.
Whoa.
Right?
That's going to be turned into a full onslaught assault.
Where the
Supreme
ponies go? Shannon.
Who's paying for the darn ponies, Shannon? Ponies don't grow on trees. I'm pretty sure of that.
Oh,
I can't
Shannon?
listen to any of you because none of you have obviously looked a pony in the eyes. So,
Where's the manure going to go?
well, that goes.
I looked at plenty of the eyes, and I still don't want to vote for Vermin Supreme.
Do you have any relatives that work for that horse and maybe
Pony
shampoo factory?
pony gas is also a very, very important source of energy.
Oh, my God.
Well, at least
Show me scientific
we
evidence
waited
that it
till the
didn't.
end of the program to take the hard right turn into the ditch.
Hard center turn.
Well, I tell you what, gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining the show. Jeremy and Dylan, Shannon, Kevin, fantastic for all the information. Join us on Thursday For Anti-Media, this is SM Gibson. Shannon, any last words?
Wonderful show. I really enjoyed talking with all of you tonight, and we are doomed come election day. Let's do it. I want my pony.
Don't be a welfare.
I want my pony.
You're not going to get that.
I'm getting my damn pony.
Hey, Dylan and Jerry, it's good talking to both of you gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Anti-Media Radio, that's it.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.